Hi everyone! It's time to show you everything I've colored in April. I can say that April was super productive for me. For several days I completely lost any desire to color or I didn't feel quite well, but I managed somehow to push myself to try something new, and one of the ways was coloring on the toned paper. And let's start from this Easter picture. It's a freebie picture by Lenka Filonenko. I printed it on not very good paper. It has quite rough texture. It created me some problems when I was coloring tiny details, but all light and pastel colors look really good on this toned paper. And of course it was much easier coloring white fur on the toned paper comparing to coloring white fur on white. Next project is from Sagar of Zagner, and I must say that in the beginning we had quite a rocky start to our relationship. In the beginning, I made Barbie pink background, totally terrible. Then I decided to cover it with another shade of acrylic paint. This time I selected this rich wine and definitely it looks much better. On top of it I used pearlescent and metal watercolors. I wanted gold here to be the main color and all other colors of jewelry. They serve as an additional elements. That's why I tried to use rich green, rich magenta, deep violet, and colors together they look nice. I'm glad that I managed to spread all colors that we have several magenta elements, several greens, several violets, and they all look together nicely as a group and nice with this background. I maintained my tradition for this book to do plain background in some of the strong colors and then to create colorful element in the central part of the picture, and I really love that I did another one page in this book. And I'm very happy that in April I finally returned to this book by Josephine. I got it more than 2 years ago, even three, I think, and when I received it, I did one page. I realized that book is quite complicated, definitely not for beginners. And finally, I managed to do second project here. I always remembered how much I immediately loved this picture, and I found that for our difficult time, it's perfect subject. So I decided to do this Hope Spring Eternal. Here I mixed regular watercolors with pearlescent effect and some watercolors with white in them, so pastel colors, and they created nice texture for the background. I also used a lot of acrylic paints to mask excessive black lines on the wings and especially on the dress of the angel, and for the skin and hair I used pencils. In real life there is very pleasant pearlescent shining and it creates a nice contrast with matte surface of the watercolors. I used my preferable blue color from my watercolor set. It's indifferent blue and blue lake. I love them and I love how they create contrast to pastel colors of the wings and dress. I'm glad that I returned to this book. I hope that now when I feel more confident with various mediums I will be coloring more in it. I started April by finishing page from Gnomes in Neighborhood. On the 1st of April I finished to color my gnome from Italy. And I finished my month also with a picture from the same book. I wanted here to play with my brightest colors. I wanted something very even unnaturally bright. In any other books, I wouldn't dare to use such a bright blue for the background, such a lime green for the leaves. But in this book, everything is possible. It's possible to combine orange with green, to create such a huge and bright flowers. I tried to create atmosphere of spring. That's why I added a lot of tiny white and pale pink flowers to create impression of the cherry blossom on the tree. I also glad that I managed to use here not Prismacolors and polychromases, but my slightly more abundant sets like Artisa or Black Widow. On this paper they work nice, and for these elements it's not so important to do layering and much more important to have a nice selection of bright colors. In the end, it was quite easy and very relaxing coloring when I didn't have to think about shading, about realistic colors, and sometimes it's really nice to create something excessively bright, especially when you need to improve your mood to cheer yourself, and in such cases, books by Dennis Clett are always helpful. And of course, in April I colored in books by Theresa Goodridge. I have plenty of nice pictures in both books by Theresa, but I think that my favorite in April is this one, mostly because I realized that I love to color watering cans. I love gardening theme in coloring because I love gardening myself in real life and I always love to color such things, but especially I love when I can color garden watering can, and on many already finished pictures I have watering cans. So it's it's fun. On this page I also decided to try a very bright blue background because on all other finished pictures from this book I have pastel blue background and I wanted something new. I can't understand why Theresa Goodridge always draws such a huge butterflies which are bigger comparing to birds, but all other elements are quite nice. Another page I colored is this one, and in the end I thought that it's a spring picture because I selected it mostly because of the daffodils, and again here we have watering can, but now when I look at it I don't know how it's possible to have lemons and daffodils in the same time. And again we have this huge butterfly. But the whole picture is quite nice. I really enjoyed working with various shades of green with all those bright and rich colors. I mixed watercolors and then I worked on top of it with um, colored pencils, so coloring also was quite quick. I really hoped that I would be able to color more in Theresa Goodridge books. I planned to color windmills, one or two, but as I said, I skipped a couple of days and I hadn't colored at all, so I will be coloring windmills in May. Next page also was quite time consuming. From the beginning I had this idea to create nice contrast between reddish brown colors of the bricks and blue color of the dishes and other tableware. But I can't say that I am totally happy how I managed to color all bricks. I think now that maybe I had to add some darker bricks, some lighter bricks, in order to create something less boring on this right side on the page. But at least I am happy with this wooden cupboard with tableware, and probably my favorite element is those copper ladles and pans. I already have in mind which pictures I want to color in May, but as I said, I will start from doing windmill because I promised to do it and I really want to color one of them. Another great moment was that in April I finally returned to flower year. I think that I hadn't colored in almost for a year, I think. The book is almost finished and I slightly lost my inspiration. Some pictures looked too plain for me, but now, after a year's break, I was happy to find some new creative ideas even for simpler pages. Here, for this very plain flower with plain green leaves and simple yellow flowers, I decided to add this circular dark background, and in the end, I think that this contrast between very dark blue black blue background and yellow color of flowers, it created some interesting contrasts, and I'm happy that plus one picture in this book really helps me to create another step to the end to finishing this book. You know that Selena Fennec recently is definitely one of my favorite artists, and one of the pictures which I finished is Aladdin. Here I was uh, quite brave, or maybe quite crazy, to use neocolor crayons for the sky. They didn't bleed through, but they also crumbled paper a little bit, so I ironed it. I am very pleased with the desert sands here in the lower part. I used Arteza pencils and I really love this yellow reddish color which I created. For the sky and for the smoke I also used a lot of white gouache, in several places diluted with water, in several places almost without water. But I am totally not happy with the face of Aladdin. Again, it wasn't very easy to work on this paper, so in the end, I decided that I simply don't know how to do proper skin tone and shading on his face. In Australian animals, I finished two pictures. This koala page was one of the most frightening projects in the book, and I wouldn't start it without prompt from one of my patrons, so I am very grateful for this push. Again, it wasn't easy for me to work on this paper in order to create texture of the short fur, especially on the back of the koala. With longer fur on ears, it was a little bit easier. So probably in order to create more realistic picture, I would have to use also some paints. But with pencils, that's what I was able to do. Background also wasn't quite easy. I mixed various brands and I tried to recreate colors from the cover of the book. This one I really enjoyed. I loved to learn something new about kookaburra and about banksias. And here to create texture of feathers was quite easy. I didn't have any problems. I tried to recreate all colors and all ornaments which I was able to find on reference pictures for this beautiful bird. But on the last step, when I was already a little bit tired from all the details, from all the time which I put into this picture, probably I made a mistake when I was selecting color for the background. In the beginning, when I made color planning, I wanted to do pastel blue background to match lightest blue in the wing of the kookaburra. But in the end, I was afraid that it will be distracting attention from the bird, and probably I had to put this picture aside for a day and to think better. But I decided that I want to finish this page now very quickly, so I decided to do this yellow lemon background. At least I hadn't covered it for the whole background. I don't know, it's not bad, but probably blue background would look better. Anyway, I at least enjoyed coloring bird, and to do birds it is much easier for me in this book comparing to colorful, so my next project definitely will be with birds again. You know that I also try to do at least one page from Jasmine Becket-Griffith each month. In April, I decided to do two small pictures, and I also started bigger page, but it's only a beginning. First, I decided to do this pale medusa, mostly because I wanted to try this uh, pale sage color of the skin. Now background looks not very attractive, but in real life we have dots and circles of pastel green pearlescent watercolors, so they shine really nice and they match color of the skin. And on the right it was interesting to combine black raspberry with pink colors. I don't use these colors in my pictures quite often, so it was challenging for me. I hope that each month I will be able to add at least one finished picture by Jasmine to my collection. Also, I am very glad that uh, I decided to do some pictures from Hannah Carson. I hadn't colored in her books for several months, and I hadn't touched my Daydreams book for more than a year. But then I got a request to color fish, and I selected page from Daydreams. I love here both fish and underwater scene. On the fish, I tried to change her shape a little bit to create her more realistic. I had similar fishes when I had aquarium in my childhood, and I decided to use black as a main color and to add some additional colors like green, blue and pink. In the end, I am very happy how my fish looks. To create background was a little bit challenging because it's created with uh, Prismacolor pencils, so only uh, areas where I used paints were to cover all those small spots, circles in the upper part of the picture. Also, I tried some interesting color combos for all those sea anemones, all those stones and corals, I don't know, or seaweeds on the um, lower part of the picture. It was very time consuming. Real-time tutorial, I think that it's around 4 hours and it was quite long. But next picture from the same book, which I started almost immediately after I did fish, was very quick. Here background is also colored with Prismacolor pencils, and I really love how I created this contrast between highlighted tops or caps of mushrooms and dark blue background. I also love that I managed to attract attention to the rabbit by creating this uh, bright crown by using this unique red spot inside of the crown. I really tried to create interesting moon, so it was quite easy and very enjoyable coloring for me. And my recently finished picture is this pair of bunnies. I finished it today, a half an hour ago. First, I wanted to color this page for Easter, but then I decided against adding some eggs to it. Instead, I decided to create this quite intense background. I used all my favorite colors, all those purple, lavender, pink. I tried to change this picture a little bit because in the original painting, all flowers were growing from the backs of rabbits. For me, it was quite creepy, so I tried to show that all flowers are simply behind my bunnies and not growing from them. I am not very happy with the face of the smaller bunny. It wasn't quite natural looking in the original picture, and I tried to add some texture, some fur, but I don't think that I managed to do it quite well. But in the end, I'm very happy with this page. I enjoyed it and I had some fun by doing it. Talking about my May plans, I definitely will be doing all those pictures which I didn't have time to do in April, so picture from Meredith Dillman and one of the windmills by Theresa Goodridge. Also, yesterday I published video about what mermaid to color to participate in mermaid, so I would be grateful if you would watch that video and if you can help me to select which mermaid you want to color together with me. I would be happy to go from my more popular books to my slightly more abandoned ones, to find something more rarely colored, and to remember about all my beautiful books which I have in my huge collection. I also hope to color with various mediums, not only with pencils. I really enjoyed all those coloring which I had in April with watercolors, so I hope to proceed in May also to use various mediums. As usual, huge thanks to everyone who watched my videos, who left me your wonderful comments, who supported my channel by using affiliate links, and of course huge thanks to all of my wonderful patrons. I really hoped that my videos in April helped you to spend less boring time during self-isolation. Please stay safe, and I hope that we all will be having very creative May.